Hello, welcome back to CIA Declassified. We've seen the agency master the skies with Air America and manipulate the factories of Europe with Project Cedar. But today we look at a modern frontline where the ink is still wet on the declassified maps. In the borderlands of Eastern Europe, the agency engaged in a high-stakes game of shadows to blunt the reach of the Kremlin. It wasn't just about sending crates of rifles, it was about building a modern wall of intelligence and clandestine infrastructure. This was Operation CARTEL, a blueprint for 21st century warfare where the most lethal weapons aren't always made of steel. To fight a giant, you have to know exactly where to strike the heel. Operation CARTEL involved the agency establishing a network of 12 secret forward operating bases along the Russian border starting in 2014, providing the Ukraine with unprecedented signals intelligence. A quote from a 2016 declassified CIA intelligence brief. The sustainability of our partners in Kyiv depends entirely on our ability to provide real-time, actionable data while maintaining a footprint that remains below the threshold of open conflict. End quote. The agency trained a specialized elite commando unit known as Unit 2245, which was responsible for capturing Russian electronic warfare equipment for analysis at Langley. One of the key figures in CARTEL was a general whose name I cannot pronounce that was the former head of Ukrainian military intelligence. I think you say his name like this, Valery Kondratyuk. It's Valeriy, that's the first name. Last name is Kondratyuk. Again, he is the former head of Ukrainian military intelligence, and he worked directly with the agency handlers to modernize their spycraft. A quote from William Burns, a CIA director, "Our investment in the Ukraine has provided one of the most significant returns in terms of intelligence collection against our primary adversaries in decades." End quote. The declassified files reveal that CARTEL utilized Project Neptune, a secret undersea monitoring program in the Black Sea, to track Russian submarine movements. The agency provided encrypted comms links that allowed the Ukrainian high command to stay in constant contact even when their local cellular networks were jammed by electronic warfare. The declassified records show that the agency helped establish a disinformation hub in Kyiv to counter Russian psychological operations in real time. Operation CARTEL included the deployment of shadow technicians who lived in underground bunkers to repair damaged satellite uplinks during heavy shelling. The agency funded the creation of deep cover listening posts disguised as ordinary grain silos and rural farmhouses across the steppe. A quote from a declassified 2022 operational summary. The integration of Western intelligence into the Ukrainian tactical loop has effectively nullified the traditional Russian advantage in masked maneuvers. End quote. The declassification highlights Project Cobalt, where the agency developed specialized software to intercept and decode encrypted Russian field radio traffic in milliseconds. Operational breakthroughs included the mesh network logistics, allowing supply drones to navigate without GPS, instead utilizing visual landmarks. The agency conducted asset extraction missions to move high-value Russian defectors across the border under the cover of night. CARTEL utilized cyber saboteurs to trigger minor, frustrating failures in Russian rail logistics, slowing down the movement of heavy armor. A quote from former CIA officer Jack Devine. "In the old days, we sent money. In the Ukraine, we sent the most sophisticated ears and eyes the world has ever seen." End quote. The declassified files document Operation Nightwatch, a program that provided infrared and thermal imaging sensors to every volunteer battalion. Agency handlers trained Ukrainian operatives in digital forgery, creating fake military orders that caused Russian units to retreat from vital positions. The declassified archives reveal Project Snowdrift, a secret funding stream that allowed the Ukraine to purchase parts for their aging Soviet-era jets from the black market. Operation CARTEL successfully mapped the entire subterranean tunnel system in the Donbass region, providing a significant tactical advantage for defensive operations. The declassified release confirms that the agency used neural network analysis to predict where the next Russian missile strikes would occur based on troop movements. In 2015, the agency facilitated the Ghost Wire project, laying hundreds of miles of fiber optic cable that was physically isolated from the global internet to prevent Russian hacking. The declassified records indicate that cartel operatives utilized linguistic echoing, a technique where they flooded Russian radio bands with pre-recorded chatter from dead soldiers to cause psychological distress. A quote from a 2019 congressional oversight testimony: "Our presence in the Ukraine is not merely advisory, it is the vital nervous system of their resistance," end quote. Agency engineers developed the Steep Stalker drone, which could hover silently for 48 hours while mimicking the thermal signature of a large bird. The declassified files show that Cartel established a bunker university where Ukrainian teenagers were taught advanced cryptography to assist in domestic cyber defense. But even with the declassified files, the most sensitive parts of Cartel remain redacted. Specifically, the annex titled Post-Human Tactics. It's completely blacked out. What were they doing in those underground bases? Get ready for the theory of the Ghost Battalion. Speculation suggests that Operation Cartel wasn't just about weapons, it was about synthetic soldiers. Rumors in the darker corners of the internet claim the agency was testing bioenhancement drugs designed to keep soldiers awake, alert, and pain-free for weeks at a time. The blacked-out logs supposedly hide the side effects of the super soldiers who eventually lost the ability to distinguish friend from foe. What if the war was an algorithm? A dark rumor suggests the agency used the Ukraine as a test bed for an AI general named Ares that controls the battlefield with no human input. The theory holds that the redactions hide the kill switch protocols for an AI that began making its own decisions about which targets to eliminate. Is the radio in your head? Some believe the redactions hide Project Link, where soldiers were fitted with subdermal implants to receive tactical data directly into their auditory nerves, and the black ink hides the brain damage reports. Watch for the hive mind theory. Gossip claims the redactions prove the agency successfully deployed drones that can communicate with each other to make group kill decisions, and the black bars hide the autonomous air logs. Where did they go? A wild theory suggests the redacted pages detail Operation Recycle, where injured foreign volunteers were moved to a secret facility in Langley to be used in experimental cybernetic surgeries. The face swap rumor claims the redactions prove the agency used high-tech prosthetics to replace key Russian commanders with Ukrainian agents, and the black ink hides the identity theft procedures. Did the tanks disappear? Some believe the redactions hide evidence of Project Mir, a chemical coating that makes heavy vehicles invisible to the naked eye at a distance, and the black bars hide the vision blur statistics. The tectonic weapon theory claims the redactions hide Operation Rumble, where the agency used underground explosives to trigger minor earthquakes so that in the future they could collapse Russian trenches. Is it a ghost or a laser? Gossip suggests the redactions hide Project Beam, where holographic projections were used to create fake armies in the sky to terrify superstitious conscripts. Some whisper the redactions hide the location of a deep freeze bunker where the agency has stored the DNA of every major player in the conflict to rebuild the government from scratch, if needed. Is the noise a weapon? Rumors are swirling that the blacked-out annex details Project Hum, a frequency-based weapon that causes internal bleeding in anyone within a 5-mile radius of the transmitter. with the black ink hiding the medical autopsies. The star map plot posits that the agency used satellites to project fake stars into the sky to misguide Russian navigation systems, with the black bars hiding the celestial forgery logs. Is there a city beneath the mud? Gossip suggests the redactions hide the blueprints for Kyiv too, a fully functional underground capital built with American money to house the government during a nuclear winter. And lastly, some believe the redactions describe Project Blight, where bioengineered insects were used to consume Russian supply rations while leaving Ukrainian food untouched. Was Operation Cartel a success? Tactically, it was a revolution. The agency successfully transformed a post-Soviet military into a world-class intelligence powerhouse in under a decade. They created a silent shield that changed the face of modern war. Strategically, it's an ongoing gamble. The declassified files show that while the agency won the information war, they've permanently tied the security of the West to a conflict that has no clear end. They built the wall, but they are now the ones who have to hold it up. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the cold winds of the Ukraine produced the next generation of agency tools. Real-time integration, the ability to move satellite data to a soldier's smartphone in seconds. Electronic warfare resilience, new hardening techniques that allow radios to function even in the highest interference environments. Crowdsourced intelligence, the development of citizen spy apps that allowed civilians to report troop movements directly to the agency. And distributed command, a revolutionary model where small independent units can operate effectively even when the high command is cut off. Operation Cartel shows us that the future of war is fought in the bandwidth just as much as the mud. As the declassified files reveal, the Kyiv connection was a bridge to a new era where secrets are the strongest armor. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine Operation Wide Receiver. The agency wanted to follow the trail of lead. We'll uncover the early failed attempt at tracking illegal gun sales into Mexico. We'll look at the walking weapons, the broken beacons, and the moment a plan to catch a cartel turned into a nightmare of lost firepower. Join us next time for the Lead Labyrinth. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.